And like, look, as human beings, we're wired to make purchase decisions based on things that we have in common, based on buying from people that we like, based on doing business with people that we like, based on feeling like we have a relationship, right? It's fundamentally how much better is it to have a piece of art on the wall that might be admired, and then, oh, by the way, I know the artist, right? It's my friend Betty, you know, she's awesome. She does this, that, and the other. Like, it's so much more powerful than any sale that happens otherwise. And, you know, everyone thinks like, I'm out here. I know I need some art. I go online, I find someone and I buy it. It's not how it happens. I'm out here. I know I need some art. So I go and follow a bunch of artists that I like. I start to get to know the artist. I show the art to my wife. I try to convince my wife. 3 weeks later, I've measured and I've finally looked at the color. In the meantime, I've seen you post 50 times, and then the sale happens. That's how art sells in the real world, right? Or, you know, if you're an art show or fair, then I meet the artist in the booth. I talk to him. I get to know him. So, you know, I can truncate the timetable. But yeah, absolutely share a combination of both. Absolutely.
Is that also important on Instagram to do a lot of talking on there?
Yeah, hugely important on both. And you know, and it's not necessarily like talking. Like a good mental model I find is like share some things that have absolutely nothing to do with your art. Think about it. What's something that I can post today that has nothing to do with my art, right? Do you have kids? Do you have grandkids? Do you have dogs? Do you have cats? Do you like drinking white wine? Are you a teetotaler? Do you paddle kayaks? What do you like to do in your spare time, right? Like, what's interesting and unique about you? What's something I wouldn't know about you? Like, those types of things are just as important as the art is itself.
Yeah, I have the most followers when I'm traveling between Texas and Nebraska, and I take side trips, and I'll have 100 people following me because I post every day what the coolest thing I saw that day.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
That's
They said I should be
tremendous.
a travel agent, but I'm
Oh,
not.
that's tremendous. That's tremendous. I
Yeah.
love that. You know, and then those people will get bonded to you and they're going to follow you. And then when they finally need art, who do they know that
Yep.
creates it? They're going to come buy from you. That's how it works.
Yep. It
Yeah.
works. I say it's fun. So, well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Betty. All right, guys. Who else? Comments, questions, concerns? Yep. Patrizia, I gotcha. And you'll need to unmute. Patrizia, it's the mic icon, bottom left-hand corner.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
I lived in Lahaina and I lost my house to the fire.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So I lost about $300,000 worth of original paintings.
Oh, my goodness.
And photography. I had a lot of photography on metal. And so I'm kind of starting all over.
Yeah.
I had showed my art. I showed my art at the Ritz-Carlton. But most of my clients, I had the list on papers that were in my file. I wasn't so tech savvy.
Yeah.
To get it all together. So
that breaks my heart, by the way. I'm just so sorry for you. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's and I lived in a community many artists lived that, I mean, I just had financial burdens because I have to pay for, the house is totally gone.
Yeah.
There's nothing there, but we have to pay $1,650 a month for maintenance fees.
Wow. Still.
For probably for 3 years.
Oh my goodness.
They have not. They have not done anything for us. It's just that the board. They just want to keep the place going, and they don't have any compassion. But anyway, I have to start all over. I got to start making some money. I had lived in hotels and hotels and hotels and friends' houses, but I finally found a lovely place that has beautiful gardens, and it's a lot smaller than I had. But I just ordered my new easel, so I'm going to start painting soon. And but of course, I lost all my cameras, and I lost. I had to get new art supplies, which some galleries donated, so art stores. But anyway, I had shown my art at the Ritz-Carlton for 3 years. I had a client who built an $8 million house, and she chose me as her artist. So it was like in the 16th century. I painted almost everything for her house except her husband's office.
Amazing.
And we had a big opening party, and it was great for me. But anyway, now the whole Lahaina town is gone. It's just really hard. So I need some help because I'm not good with marketing. And I had looked into you guys years ago, but I just never got it started. Yeah. But I think now is a good time because I think you all really have it together.
Yeah.
Sounds like you have a wonderful plan. So I have paintings. I mean, I do have digital images of most of the paintings.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and I have photography. I did lose a lot of the photography because it was on the big computer at home,
Yeah.
and I thought it was on the cloud. It wasn't, not everything.
Got it.
But I travel a lot. I travel all over the world, and I've got beautiful photography. And then I started doing photo montage.
Okay.
And I did it on metal. So you all do metal and you do canvas?
Yeah, all the above. So we have that's pretty awesome. We have a printer on the West Coast, which is Bay Photo, and then we have a printer on the East Coast, which they don't have like a forward-facing operation, but it's the same size as Bay Photo, and you have literally everything, all the substrates, all the different brands. So you get an order. The artist owns everything with us. We're not involved in like middlemaning or anything like that. So the order comes in, you get paid directly to your merchant account. We automatically deduct out of your merchant account the wholesale price of whatever the printer charges for that. The printer prints it, boxes it, slaps your logo on the side of it, and ships it. You don't have to lift a finger or do anything.
That's great.
Yeah, it's super convenient. Now, if you were selling a ton of stuff locally in Hawaii, there is the shipping that goes into that, right? It might behoove you to get a local printer, but I'm sure you could find one of those if you needed one.
Oh, I do have a local printer. Yeah. So, okay. I guess I'm not so sure about how it works exactly.
Yeah, the best thing to do is get a demo where they can walk you through all the plans, all the pricing, all the bells, all the whistles. Be sure and let them know about the Lahaina situation. There might be some help for you there. Don't get me started on that. It's devastating. Devastating. I've been to Lahaina quite a few times. I actually have a Hawaiian name. My dad grew up. Yeah, my dad grew up in Hawaii. My whole dad's side of the family. My dad went to Kamehameha High School, and
you went to Kamehameha High School?
No, my dad did.
Oh, your dad did.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
a great school.
Great school. Yeah. So have a very soft spot for all things Hawaii. So really, really devastated. I'm super sorry to hear that.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, and we'll have somebody reach out and contact you with follow-up steps.
Okay. Thank you.
And potentially it might be a good idea to contact that lady that you painted the whole house for and ask her if you can come in and don't tell me that house went
passed away. She passed away.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
And then her husband, actually she wanted me to paint for 10 to 15 years. She wanted me to paint everything in the house.
Is the art still hanging in the house?
Well, the husband remarried, and then they moved off island during COVID. So
got it. So probably not.
I could try to contact him to find out where the art is. Maybe some of it's still in existence.
Yeah, or just go to the house and ring the doorbell and just be like, "Hey, is all my art still in here? I would just love to photograph it because it would be helpful to have that hanging in the house to get things restarted."
Yeah, well, I think I have images of most of the things I painted for her for that woman. But I would like to know where the art is because they might be interested in buying something else of mine.
Doggone right. Drive over to that house and find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Patricia. Okay. Who else, guys? Questions, comments, concerns? Can, of course, be anything about anything. More than happy to answer. Like I said, it can be art storefronts related and or not. Doesn't matter to me. I'm just going to make a quick note while you guys are thinking if you have questions so I don't forget about Patrizia. Given my name's Patrick, and that's the first time I've ever seen anyone spell it with a Z, it'll be very easy to remember that one. Can somebody reach out? Okay, I wrote that down. All right, Jeremy, I gotcha.
Yeah, just a question on personas and kind of self-identity.
First of all, can we talk about your camera/lighting setup? You're cooking with gas over there. You're obviously on camera or streaming quite a bit for work or something.
I may.
Yeah. You might just.
I might just. Yeah.
It's just out of curiosity. Is it an SLR?
It is. Yeah. It's an older Sony A6000 set up on an ATEM switcher, so it just does a 1080 feed.
Yeah. But real glass is real glass, and you can certainly tell I'm not on real glass. And see, work. Find me a nice SLR so I can look as good as Jeremy here. Okay, come on.
Yeah. I know, man. Actually, I won't make a comment on that. I see your content all the time. Like, I need to send this guy some kit, man.
Yeah, I gotta upgrade my camera. You're inspiring me.
So actually, Andrew and I were talking about this on kind of a group call we had the other day. So I thought I'd bring it up in this forum. Kind of about identity and how we think of ourselves. So the challenge being from the concept of a gallery to the concept of an artist to the concept of e-commerce. The question is kind of a little bit existential, but the notion is we want to sell stuff, and we want people to buy stuff because regardless of whether it's our favorite stuff or not, we want it to sell. So getting our head around that is, as an artist, is a thing that I've continued to struggle with, and I'm getting better at it all the time.
Yeah.
So and it turns out marketing is awesome for that. Secondly, though, the concept of a gallery where multiple things are being listed, whether it's somebody else's art or my own art or whatever it might be, and then the third kind of piece of that, which is the artist piece, where we want to be seen as an artist, maybe not just a stock photographer or whatever else we don't want to be. It's kind of struggle between those things. And I think the question was just asked a little bit ago about, do we separate personal and, our work on Facebook, for example? Obviously we want as many eyeballs as possible, but my question kind of goes to the strategy from a marketing perspective to whether we throw everything all in, whether it's gallery, whether it's stock art, whether it's art, whether it's artists, whether it's multiple artists, or we try to delineate those and market them differently with different strategies. Just thoughts from you on that.
Yeah, great question. I get it all the time. I think broadly is a cliche. You're overthinking it, which is what artists do all the time, right? And I see that, and it's clear as day. Like you've just been diagnosed, telehealth medicine status is overthinking it. Early on, you don't have any damn idea what's going to stick at all. Yeah. So really, it comes down to a game of archery, and it's how many arrows you fire at the target, and what you're looking for is like what's hitting the bullseye, right? Like it's extremely easy to do that, figure out something that's working, dump all the stuff that's not, and go all in on the stuff that is, right? That's number one. And you would think that's what happens more often than not. Do you know what actually happens more often than not? It's the artist just as much as the art, and they get bonded to you, and then it's whatever the heck you create they like. Because I've got customers that have no niche whatsoever. You're essentially asking a question about niche to a certain extent, right? A little bit. Yeah, in so many words. So I would do all of it, and I would do all of it with an open mind, saying, I don't know what I don't know. All I know is I'm not smarter than my customer. I don't know what's going to work. I've not promoted any of this stuff. So I'm going to get out of my own way, post some stuff about me, find out what works, and then have it come to Jesus down the line and say, is 80% of my revenue coming from 20% of my work? Pareto's law? Okay, I have a niche. Is it not? Okay, I don't. Keep going. It's that simple.
Good. I like it.
Yeah. It's that simple. And what most artists do is they don't end up getting the work in front of enough eyeballs. They think that constitutes validation. It hasn't. And then they move on to something else. Right? So don't be that. You've created all this amazing stuff. Get it out there. That's where the marketing comes in. Make sure you get enough eyeballs on it, and then you'll find out.
I like it. Thank you for the summary.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. It is sort of wild because, I've seen as a marketer, and especially as like a data-driven marketer, I hate math, but I am a data-driven marketer. It's like you're constantly looking to refine things and get a formula that like might be applicable to everyone. Number of Facebook followers times people on the email list times number of sales run per year equals this type of revenue potential. Okay, this is what I can advocate for all my customers. But what's wild is I've like gone down this journey, and I think I've been in this company 7.5, 8 years, somewhere around there. Is they're all, every individual artist is such like a multivariate equation that it's impossible to narrow any things down. It's like who the artist is, the size, the TAM, the total addressable market size of the niche that they've picked, the connection that they have with their subject matter material, right? The connection they have with their audience, how good of a storyteller are they? And, I always joke that we have some customers that have over 1 million followers on Instagram. And we have some customers that have 5,000 followers on Instagram. A couple of the ones with 5,000 followers on Instagram outsell the 1 million plus by a factor of 50. How the hell do you wrap your head around that, right? Where in the equation does that make sense, and does that fit in, right? Oh, everyone just needs 5. So I banged my head on this for like a long, long time, and you realize that like it's just such a multivariate equation. There's no one law that applies for everyone. But early on, and this I believe is an immutable truth, early on, it's not a meritocracy on the quality of the work. Early on, it's a meritocracy on the quality of the marketing.
Mhm.
Once you reach that bar, then it becomes a meritocracy on the work, on how much faster you go and how high you go and what the revenue numbers look like. But you have to get the work in front of enough eyeballs. It's the biggest problem. They get the gears grinding a little bit.
Yeah,
Are you-
it does, and it validates some things, and I appreciate the candor. Overthinking it is my MO, so it's perfect.
Yeah. We can smell our own. We can smell our own, Jeremy. Okay. I come from a long line. None of this stuff I've ever done, I assure you, you know?
Of course not. No.
Oh my gosh. I mean, so many bonehead moves along the way, but that's the fun part of it, right? Is like, you know, like my favorite is like, don't start the bank account until you have a damn check made out to the business, right? Because you don't have a damn business until then. Well, I got to go and get my LLC documents, and I got to get filed with the Secretary of State, and I've got to have a name for the company, and then I got to go down and get my reset. No, you don't. You don't need to do any of that. You need to make a sale, right? You've got to go make a sale. You know how many times I've blown that one? Oh, don't get me started. Yeah, don't get me started. Yeah.
Hey, Pat, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Based on actually something Jeremy and I were talking about in our call
Yeah.
last week as well, and he kind of reminded me, and I think it might be a continuation of what you were just mentioning.
Mhm.
So he was talking about the fact that a lot of photographers have like what they would consider fine art pieces, and then they have pieces that they would consider stock art pieces.
Yeah.
And what's the journey, or is there a journey to from sort of the model that most art storefronts customers are in, where you're selling your stuff on merch and you're selling open edition prints, to Jonah Allen's business model, which is limited editions only at high end prices? Like, what's the journey process from that to the other? Is
Yeah,
there one?
It's a great question. One, I think stock art is dead. It's done. It's over. It's gone. It's never coming back. There's not any revenue to be made from it. It's done. Now, you can keep those images, and down the line, you might be able to do something with them. But right now, in terms of a revenue perspective, that's just not a viable revenue model, just period. That needs to be said. I think, you know, it's so funny, and I want to show this, okay? Because this is like the ultimate power flex, and I want to use it to like make this opinion. Because I follow this guy, and I'm hunting the file down right now, so just bear with me. I follow this guy on Instagram, right? And everyone should follow him that's an artist, because he does an absolutely phenomenal job of, one, I think he's in the top 10 best-selling artists in the United States. It's probably not even close at this point in time. I can't find my doggone downloads folder. Okay, you guys ready? This is the ultimate power flex of ultimate power flexes, okay, that exists as an artist, right? And I took this from his Instagram, and he's a French guy. His name's Marc Maggiore, I think, or Maggiore, however you pronounce it. And obviously, I mean, look at the way this guy dresses, you know, hilarious. Anyway, this is the power flex of him walking through his gallery and pointing at the red dot circle on every single solitary piece, right? He's just like going, yep, sold. Yep, sold. Yep, sold. Yep, sold, right? Ultimate power flex. But this guy's just a huge deal. Why do I bring that up? Why do I bring that up out of the context of Jonah? The danger, and when you're just getting started and you haven't figured things out yet, is like, ooh, I'm going to go choose that business model, or I'm going to go choose that business model, or I think that's a great business model to form. And you can do whatever the hell you want when you have demand. When you don't, you're lost, right? Like, you know, I don't know if you saw the Betty Krause webinar, but like one of the things that I hate are these people that say like, oh, I use a pricing formula, right? Hours of time spent times canvas times paint used equals this. This is what I'm going to charge. It's like, what a bunch of bullshit. None of that matters if you don't have demand, right? Betty uses it because her demand's through the roof. Jonah has got his demand through the roof, so he can do a bunch of things the rest of us can't. So early on, you can look to those folks, and you can pick out some of the things that you think are good and help with the marketing, but you always have to be cognizant. It's like, I have to generate that damn demand first. And that's not easy to do, right? You know, it's like you have to nail a niche. They have to be passionate. You have to like have people that are super interested. Like it's really, really hard to do that. So I don't think getting overly focused on the business model per se is the best way to go. You know, nailing a subject matter material and an audience is. And that's the trial and error. That's the firing the arrows, right? And, you know, there's great opportunity to get super creative within that and really try to like zig when everyone else is zagging, or try to something local that you can nail and not being too broad. There's a ton of advice within that, but it's not easy. It's arrows fired, you know? It's arrows fired. And I can't begin to tell you like how often like from a content marketer standpoint, which is the best analogy I have that I participate in a daily basis. Like, do you know how much of my stuff bombs? A lot, right? And that's okay. That's totally fine. That's the only way I learn. And a lot of times, the stuff that I don't like is what does best. Sometimes the stuff my team, which is ESL, God love them, produce, outdoes what I do with my brilliance and eloquence. And I'm not angry about it. I get it now, right? Like, sometimes it's just about the number of arrows that you fire. And then once you do have a niche and you've got it nailed, then you can break every rule there is, because it doesn't matter, because you've got demand. You can do whatever you want, right? Whatever you want to price it, whatever you want to use that stupid formula. We can call Betty up and ask her what it is. All of that is nonsense if you're not there yet. And so you have to knock on that door and you have to find out. You know, as I was looking at, guys, see if I can pull it up. Another great follow. I really like this guy that runs Instagram. Okay. And I think they call him like head of Instagram, I think his name is. Let me get the screen share up. Hold on. Let me just pull it up. How am I going to share this? Okay, let me get it up. Hold on. Share screen. For everyone that's watching on the stream, you're going to have to just listen to me. Did he share it in a story? Did he share it in a story? You might have shared it in a story, in which case I wouldn't be able to see it. Doggone it. He shared it in a story. Anyway, he picks like a creator, right? And then he highlights the creator. And he picked this guy that gets the little logo figurines and then does the landscape photography in beautiful New Zealand with the logo figurines. And I'm telling you, this guy will spend like 2.5 hours on a shoot, like crushing it, like the lighting, perfect, this, that, and the other, and like really nailing it, right? And I'm like, man, that's such a creative. God, I wish I could find it because it'd be so much better to show it off. I don't think I'm gonna be able to. No, so that's his kid with Lego. Anyway, I say that under the context of knowing that you're a photographer. You like shooting outside in nature. You're locked in your zone. It's not like it's not like you're going to decide tomorrow, Andrea, that your niche is now Fiji, okay? And you're going to shoot the beaches of Fiji, okay? Good luck pulling that one off, right? You know, you live in Victoria, so sometimes you have to come up with like one of those creative angles. It's different, you know, but it's about firing the arrows. And sometimes you never know what it is that will actually work. Yeah, it's a good question though. And we'll keep battling in the meantime. And I like the Blazer, by the way. Side note, side tangent. Yeah. All right. She's a customer, so we get I can be flippant like that, for lack of a better term. But who else, guys? Questions, comments, concerns? And there is like the way to raise your hand, you know, non-digitally. It's somewhere in the little 3-dot menu, raise hand or whatever it says. So if you want to ask a question that way, you can also ask a question in the chat. And then let me see if I can get. Okay. How do you create prints from the original artwork? Does the artist take pictures, or is there a physical place we go to? Yeah, great question. You hire somebody on Craigslist, you have them come to your house and they photograph it, and then you are utterly, totally, and completely good to go. Best way to go about doing it. So that's what I would say. Does your service cater better art of different price points? No, caters for all of them. Price is like one of those things that I get super, super passionate about, because the individual price point doesn't matter. What matters is the range. You have to have prices from 0 to 100, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 plus, and then you have to have non-wall art as a part of the lineup, ideally in the $100 or less. $100 or less range. You do that, you're cooking with gas, and that's like one of fundamental law to pricing. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that, but that's the easy way to answer that. But other than that, you can have up to $10 million. Doesn't matter to me. That's what I would say. All right. Thazzo told me as well, it ended up being quite an ordeal when I converted from GoDaddy to Thazzo. I paid extra to have Thazzo convert my website. Yeah, post-traumatic stress disorder over the transfer. Ugh. I totally get that, Sharon. You don't have to worry. We don't make you do it. We do it for you. We build the whole site for you. So that's not even an issue at all. And we advise our customers to use MailChimp, so there'll be no switchover. Trying to think what else. Is that it? All right. Okay. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, then, or any questions for Andrea, you could ask either of us. All right, Jeremy, I'd like to see it. Go ahead.
So I got one more for you
Yeah.
about strategy when it comes to gallery concept and multiple artists.
Mm-hmm.
So this probably falls into the overthinking it, but I think there's actually a technical beast to this. So I figure.
Oh, there's a few.
So the question kind of goes along the lines of a good friend of mine is an influencer, has a great following, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
On Instagram, it's not uncommon for him to get 5 million views on a camera review, for example.
Awesome.
the thing is he doesn't want to deal with running a site. Now, when he does, which he's probably going to, he's already watched all the videos and he wants to go start up his own art storefronts, which is great.
Awesome.
However, he'd rather me do it so he doesn't have to. Frankly, I have less time than he does, so I'm it is what it is strategically. But the point is, very good friend of mine, we've co-opted on some stuff, have been traveling for years doing photography, and mostly I'm a support mechanism because my day job keeps me busy, and he's a full-time content creator.
Okay.
So the question comes into whether or not obviously his following and influence is a big deal. It's from a marketing perspective, that's awesome. His content typically is bought. This goes and supports your point a minute ago. People buy from people.
Yeah.
Which is a summary of kind of what you said. It's not really less about the art. In fact, the stuff that I sold on my side of his is frankly not that good, but people buy it because they want a piece of him, which is awesome.
Yep.
So the question that he and I have is, if money's not the object, so, I'll pay him on a commission rate and we split it, whatever, we'll figure that out on a single, Stripe account. The question is, how do we then leverage the work, the kind of admin that I do and the work that I do, putting his content, marketing that, not against his own audience, but, trying to build the audience. Is there a strategy whereas two artists, and maybe even more, we continue to build out this gallery concept as opposed to an artist named concept?
Yeah.
And does that work and from a marketing strategy, why doesn't it work, or why does it work? And just your thoughts on whether or not we should go down that road. Obviously, and I get your honesty and your candor in this. You're not super concerned about whether he starts up his own ASF gig. It doesn't really matter. And what you really want to do is see things grow. So it might be a big concept there, but does it make sense what I'm asking? Kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I get the gist of it. I think, I always answer this question with an off-color Mormon joke about polygamy, right? And of how difficult it is to be married to just one person. I love you, sweetie. Okay, just one person, let alone in multiple people in a marriage, right? And so that's sort of the nature of like a bunch of artists getting together and starting a gallery together. You have to be like mega upfront on revenue splits and this, that, and the other, because what always ends up happening is one person pulls way more weight than the other. And then another one sort of like benefits disproportionately. And then, then the relationship sours, and then it's like, okay, well, who's going to take the assets in this particular case, right? Like who's going to own that? If you can sort of nail down that communication and go into that like on like a really explicit, we've talked about this, we know what we're going to do if things get dodgy, then I love it. I think it's fantastic. And I think there's huge benefit to the shared group, right? But is he going to get into a scenario where he's like, okay, Jeremy, you're now selling $50,000 worth of art a year, and the majority of them are my customers. Like, is it going to get weird like that? You got to think those scenarios through. It might or might not, but you got to think those things through. And then also, like, there's no overnight success. This is not a flash in the pan, right? Like, there's going to take years of grinding to get this thing up, running, and ready. Who's going to own everything afterwards, right? Is that going to be time that you didn't spend on building your name and building your operation and building your site? And is that what you want? Who owns the emails? Like, you have to kind of contemplate those things, right? Because if you guys start a gallery, that's one thing. Then it could be separate branding and everything else. He could promote the crap out of it. You could just do all the stuff that you're going to do that he's too busy to do. And you leverage the hell out of his social following. I like that deal. I think that's rad. But then you have a gallery, right? And then, are you going to get some other artists in there? What is it going to look like? Like, are you guys 50-50 owners on the gallery, right? And then, the other artists that come in are going to do like a, 70-30, 80-20, 60-40 revenue split. You got to think those things through. But you can absolutely do it. That's for certain.
On the marketing side and technical side from the platform, what are the challenges with that?
Not really any. Like, I would say the primary challenge is you're adding another entity into the mix. Like if it was just you, it would be, what do you do when you're not doing art? Okay, because we need to know about these things. And then what does the art look like? Now you have a third entity to brand, which is the actual brand itself, right? Because you'd want to blow that gallery up as much as possible. And I think also too, like, and I said this before, and then, Andrew and I were talking about it, or maybe I said it to Betty, like, I hate the gallery model for artists because I find it to be exploitative. I don't agree with the 50-50 split, and I don't agree with not knowing who's purchasing your work, because you just don't need, it's like the gatekeepers have been obliterated in today's day and age, right? Like every single solid trade traditional television channel is knocking on death's door. No one is watching those things anymore. It's almost over, right? As the generation that like grew up with TV edges out, it's over. That party's over. There's no more need for, I need to go pitch my idea. So too with Hollywood, so too with music. Like, so the same thing has happened to arts, right? So knowing that, I hate that the traditional gallery model. But if you guys launched an online one and it started kicking ass, would I tell you to start looking for land or looking for spots in Los Angeles, or looking for spots in Hawaii, or looking for spots in Florida, or any of the hot spots to start a retail gallery? Bet your ass I would. Because the gallery model that I do love is the artist owns it and the artist exhibits in it. Those are great businesses, fantastic businesses, and especially paired with the online. So that's something to think about too if you wanted to give it that go, right? Like, hey, we're going to make a killer gallery, a killer brand. We're going to leverage your social following, where all the rest of us are going to sell in it. And then as soon as we start getting some traction, we're signing up for a year lease and we're going for it,
Is there any concept where multiple social accounts, IG, multiple Facebook accounts, multiple LinkedIn accounts? I'm hoping that's coming in Hub, by the way.
Yeah.
If that, because we're limited to a single, and obviously the gallery itself is the entity, right? It becomes the corporation, like the East India Trading Company. It's the thing that you now have to invest in.
There's no question that we're going to have to add that feature for sure. I can't tell you exactly when it's going to happen, but it's got to happen, right? Like, what?
Well, this model is a smaller piece of a much larger pie. Makes absolute sense. You started talking about diversifying to brick and mortar after the brand was strong. This plays that strength as well. So that's you kind of inadvertently answered that question, and that multiple accounts at some point has got to be a thing. And obviously there's a lot of different ways to monetize that, but one account, because everything so far that I've heard, and you also just made a big statement about stock art, which I love. So I think this is probably another one of those big statements that eventually I'd love to hear ASF make, which is the human piece of this, the artist piece, which is the most important piece. It's okay to not just be one human. It can be multiple humans.
100%. 100%.
Because I think that feels like that's where it needs to go.
Yeah, 100%. And in fact, that like it's actually like a thing now in the creator economy, meaning like, hey, we're going to start a YouTube channel, or we're going to start an Instagram account. It's exhausting to feed this beast all the time, so let's four-way it, And it's kind of awesome, right? Or what the millennials love to say, and there's nothing that an older generation likes doing more than talking down to the other one, is the collabs. Oh, we're doing collabs. Are you doing collabs? Why can't you just say the word collaboration? Collabs. Give me a break. Infuriates me. But, it's that sort of a mental model, right? Like you would have this one brand account that everyone has got some responsibility on feeding that baby and making it cool and making it awesome and making it look incredible and showing the work hanging in customers' houses and all that, So there's just a lot of ways you can do it. I'm just extremely pro, like I don't.
Collab.
Yeah, collab. You really get me going. It's extremely important to me that the damn artist is building something that they can have for a lifetime, because that like Hotel California line, like that is like a phenomenon that is so true. And that one is all mine. If anyone tries to take it, okay, I want at least a mention. Like artists don't ever turn off. You're going to be doing this till your last days on this earth. And for many of us, that's several decades left. For most people, it's a couple decades left. And so, what breaks my heart is I was such a great selling artist for like 30 years. I never kept any receipts. I didn't know who was purchasing my work. I don't have an email list. And now it's like, you're still a great artist, but you have nothing. It's like, you worked at a company that had a 401k and a 401k match and you never took it. Like, I don't want that. Right. So I like this notion of, like, especially in today's day and age, the creator economy with its collabs, that you can build this incredible following. You can build this incredible email list, and you can monetize it every which way to Sunday for the rest of your life. That's a big deal. That's important to me,
Cool.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
If you sign up, I want to level up my camera game, so we'll talk about it.
I'll send you a list of kit.
Yeah. I mean, I have a decent setup, right? I've got 2 good ring lights. I mean, this is obviously not the background I'm in, I'm running OBS. I've got that going on. I've got a decent mic that I like. That sounds relatively good, although it's not hidden, like, your perfect one. I don't have the perfectly coiffed hair, so I've got a hat, but I really just need the camera and probably a better capture card, and then I'm cooking with gas.
It's not an expensive. It's not. Well, I should say relative to like Alex Lindsay, not expensive, but it's. If you know Alex Lindsay, podcast guy, but
it's gonna be like $4 or $5 grand, or not.
No.
That's Sony one that everyone talks about, which is like their mirrorless one that's like $1,200, right? And you
can get you can get the Sony A6000, the original one from way back, from the Next 7 kind of leveled right after that, for about $300 now, used on MPB all day long.
No, that's pretty strong.
That Zeiss lens, this is a Zeiss 1.8 for photographers out there. Zeiss 1.8 22 mil APS-C lens that you can get now used for about $300 too. And then that's just going into an ATEM Mini instead of buying a capture card. You don't need OBS at all. And that ATEM Mini is $299. So it's 333, and that's it. And then I'm using an Intelitech quad light, which is dimmable, 2 to 8K. This is a nice light. It's not a softbox. It's got an 8 grade on it.
Yeah.
So as you know, lighting makes a big deal. But the camera piece of the kit sub $1,000.
Yeah.
And it just feeds in directly via USB-C, and so it shows up everywhere as a camera.
Yeah, which is really, really nice. I still need OBS because I got to pull in Zoom windows and pull out cell phones and all my nonsense. But okay, good talking. Let me know what you decide. Now I'm very curious who the influencer is. Make sure that they're doing Instagram lives. Has he ever done an Instagram live?
Quite a lot. You can take actually, I'll tell you who it is. I don't mind. It's the YouTube channel is forexoverland.com, or YouTube/forexoverland. The guy's name is Andrew St. Pierre White. And
he's like Overlander, like go on the Jeep and go off roading guy truck.
Yeah, internationally, yeah, he's kind of the godfather of international Land Cruiser, Land Rover stuff.
Oh, I love it. I love the overlanding. Now I'm going way too far down the tangent, but I got to say this because it's the greatest thing ever. My wife worked for an electric car company, so we got an electric car. It has an outlet in it, the overlanding coolers. Okay, do you know what? Once you get one of these, there's no going back. I will never use ice ever again. Okay. I plug this thing in. I bought 2 of them because I love cooking. I plug this thing in the car. Okay. And it does not drain 1% of my battery for 24 hours. I'm rolling around with the refrigerator everywhere I go. Okay. If I am in a house for the weekend, it has a garage fridge, whether it has a garage fridge or not, because I take the cooler out and I put it in there. My beers are in there. I've got my marinades in there. Okay. I've got all my meats because I'm particular. It is the greatest invention. No ice ever again, ever again. I'm done with it. I hit all my local farmers markets and I load that thing up. Anyway. All right. I will check them out, but that's awesome. Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, man.
Okay. Anna first, and then I'll get to you, Betty. Go ahead, Anna.
Thank you. Hi, guys. My internet is not very stable, and I have a cat who keeps, roaming me around.
Yeah,
So
we
my
love cats.
apologies.
Yeah.
I'm not a professional. I started, really intensely doing art maybe 3 years ago for whatever reason. I'm a linguist by education. But anyway, I love doing art. Whenever I do it, I'm in a zone, in a flow. I'm super happy. I would love to be able to sell something. Do you have like a model for someone who really cannot afford a big expensive program, and I'm a boomer, so I'm really not good with social media, and I hear you, if I understood right, you said something like the audience has to like you first so they can follow you. Am I right?
Yeah, that's part of it for sure. Yeah.
So what would be your best advice for someone like me?
Well, you could be selling in all kinds of languages. What languages do you speak?
Brazilian, Portuguese, Polish, a little bit of French.
Wow. I never would have guessed Polish in a million years. Polish and Portuguese. Amazing. Yeah, it's like anything else. Like there's so many people that are all trying to get started. Do you listen to podcasts?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would start with we've got a really good one, and it's totally free and it's totally awesome. It's like packed with amazing art selling stuff. I'm going to share the screen so you can see what it looks like. It's on
Excited to
Apple
be back
Podcasts.
on
Ooh.
another podcast episode, and
clearly I host it. Shut up, you blowhard.
Good
But
news that is applicable
Where is it?
across
Stop.
the board, right? And
Stop. Okay, stopped it. That's what it looks like. It's called the Art Marketing Podcast. And sorry, the logo is not loading very good. That's what it looks like. It's on Spotify and it's on Apple Podcasts. I would totally start listening to that, and it will give you a ton of ideas to get things kickstarted without having to spend a bunch of money.
Okay.
Yeah. Start there, Anna.
Okay. Yeah. So my plan is, to start doing something
Yeah.
that works, and then whenever I can afford it, I would go with one of your plans or programs or whatever, right?
Awesome. Yeah. And we're not going anywhere. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. And it would be cool that you can do it in all those different languages. That's a good hook. Okay, Betty, you're up next, and then Lorraine, I'll get to you too. Don't worry.
Okay, my question is, quick thoughts of yours on entering juried art shows and using online art sites like, Art America or Etsy.
Yep.
Are those worth the time and bother?
No, in either case. Like one of the things that I loved laughing about all the time is like, ooh, I was in a juried art show. And I'm like, oh, you were in a juried art show. That's wonderful. And Betty, you hear that? That's me at your front door. I'm going to pick you up and we're going to drive to the ATM machine and you show me the button on the ATM machine that says Juried Art Show. The reason there is no button on the ATM machine for Juried Art Show is because nobody gives a damn if you were in a Juried Art Show. Now, it's not that you know, it's necessarily a bad thing to be in a Juried Art Show. That's fine. I just don't like that you have to pay to get into them, which is nonsense, right? And most of the time they don't bring anything, in my estimation, which is not to say it's not bad. You can put it up on your website that you were in a Juried Art Show, and I'm sure someone would care. And then in terms of the marketplaces, you know, I've talked to thousands and thousands and thousands of artists. There's like very, very few that make anything constituting decent income on Etsy or Fine Art America. And then in the Fine Art America case, Fine Art America will do a better job of SEOing, search engine optimizing your name. And after they do that, they're going to end up appearing in the search engines higher than your own website. So I don't like going on that one. Etsy's a little different in that capacity. And Etsy can be cool, but everyone thinks, I just don't agree with the premise, which is, no, there's nowhere where you're just going to upload your stuff and not do anything and have a business. If you want to upload your stuff there and do a ton of work marketing and drive a bunch of traffic, you might get some sales over there, but why wouldn't you just send it to your own place, right? So you can capture that revenue. That's what I would say.
Great ideas.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. All right, Lorraine, you are up next, and then don't worry, Lenny, I see yours in the chat too. I'll get yours. You have to unmute, Lorraine. Yep, gotcha.
All righty. I'm like Anna. I'm new into this whole world of selling art, etc. I've been doing photography for a few years, and I'm newly retired, so now I get to play.
Congrats. Huge congrats. That's awesome.
I worked hard for that.
Yeah.
So on your recommendation, I am wondering, is it best just to set up an Instagram and then just get a sense as to where a following is, and then just
I think more important than that is, like, you know, have the personal come to Jesus with yourself and say, like, okay, I'm retired. It's not like I need the money from this. So is this a hobby, or do I kind of want to have a business? Like, what are your goals for the whole thing, right? And I would be honest with that, because it will legitimately take you some work, okay, to get this thing up, running, ready, going, and turned into a business. I happen to think it's an awesome thing to have later in life, because it gives you purpose, right? You know, to still get out of bed in the morning, and, you know, you're not lost, because you hear all those stories like, oh, I retired, and, you know, it's like, what am I doing now? Now I'm just walking around, like, you know, I have like nothing to do, right? Like, my neighbor was about to retire, and maybe this is just like a conversation men have, but it was like, I was like, what are you gonna do, dude? I was like, you're such a hard worker. Like, if you had something fun to do, and then he just went, I was like, okay, you're going to be fine. He gave me this like whole list. He's like, we're going here, we're doing this. And I was like, okay, you plan for this.
I'm like your neighbor. I have no problems with retirement and things to do.
Yeah, which is awesome. But if you want to make like a business out of it, and you're like, I would love to have this thing to work on and, you know, keep me passionate and keep me plugged in and bring in some income, then you're essentially going all in, any which way you slice it. But start working on it now. There's literally no forward steps that you can take that will be non-positive. Like, I would do a local Thayer show, your first one, see how it goes. If you want to get Gorilla on it, have a garage sale on a Saturday. Put all your art in the yard with all the stuff from the garage sale that you need to get rid of anyway, because we're all humans, we're all pack rats, we have way too much crap. So that's a great way to get some instantaneous feedback. You know, in addition to that, yes, Instagram is the most important social site currently, so that's a great place to start. And ultimately, like, because you've never attempted to sell it, or really, you need to get the art in front of eyeballs and see what you have on your hands. And no one can tell you what's going to happen until you get it in front of some eyeballs and try to get some strangers, not named your best friends, to buy it, right? Like, that's like the key thing. And really, really important to find that out. Really, really important to find that out now. Not after you're 25 pieces deep in the same series, which are awesome and fulfilling and you like doing, but no one wants, right? And that's a huge, huge part of like art sales early on. So that's what I would say.
So I really haven't played with Instagram myself. If I post something on Instagram and see about people who like it, that type of thing, and you can see that there's a growing interest in the work, and then to go through the guerrilla effort.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that the best?
Yeah, I mean, essentially what you're trying to figure out, like, you know, baby step one, do I have a product the market wants? Exactly. If I do, then all the rest of the stuff becomes worth it, right? Getting the website, going all in, starting in on regular marketing, but you got to find it out first, right? you know, the analogy that I love to give is like, do not go and lease the building, okay, and hire the staff and get a maitre d' and design the menu and handle the decor and hire the bartender before you know people want the dish, like the cooking, right? Instead, go to Costco, get a cart, push it into an office building around noon with all of your stuff made, and see what happens, right? Like, find out that like people are like, oh my gosh, this is awesome, and I think that's an important mental model before you go, you know, way down the road, right? Like, see what you're creating now has a market to it, and if it doesn't, that's totally okay, but at least you know, okay, I've got to try a different subject matter material, or I've got to try a different style, a different way of approaching it. You know, that's really, really important.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and huge congrats, Lorraine, on the retirement. You're the only one of us that's not struggling through this a loss of an hour. Okay, my whole household was discombobulated today. I'm telling you. But yeah, good times nonetheless. Okay, so Lenny's saying I'm a published children's author 2 times. Okay, I have a variety of plans, Plan Smart, etc. on my own website. But I like your site, the way you market, print, and ship. I just got marketing for my 2 books, and my income is not able to purchase your website company, which I feel is awesome. Any suggestions? Yeah, it's so hard. Isn't it so hard marketing books, Lenny? Like, one of my best friends is an author that I've grown up with, and I've been helping him on marketing his book, which is over 1,000 reviews on Amazon, quite frankly. It should be easier. It's not. It's really, really hard to do. My advice to you, Lenny, would be the exact same as it was to Anna, which is like, the podcast is awesome. There is a ton of actionable intel in there, and it'll help you too, Lorraine. Like, listen to those lessons in there, and then jump on doing some of those things, and just start leveling up and getting better. Like, I don't want you to wait and think like, oh, I can't do anything until I get signed up with these guys. No, there is a lot you can start doing immediately to start taking some positive forward steps, you know, which I think is like really, really important. So that's what I would say, Lenny. That's how I would go about it. And I'm going to check the cameras just really quickly. And then Israel, I know you just popped in here, but it doesn't look like you have a microphone that's working. So without the mic, I don't think you're going to be able to ask any questions. Okay. He ran out to get a mic. I would argue, you guys too, that like, being that I've like worked with my buddy who's an author, being the author in the books is even harder. It's even harder to make it as an author than it is an artist. Like, to make it as an artist is the damn easy in comparison to being like a novelist. Like, it's so hard to sell books. It's so hard to market books, right? Really, really hard thing to do. So I think the arts are actually easier. All right, Israel, I know you got questions. So I'm going to unmute you. Okay. You can just hit your mic icon. Okay, we can hear you.
I know you got questions. Andrew.
Yeah, the problem is that the way your mic is set up. If you have headphones, if you could do headphones, that would close the loop. I don't know if you can.
Hold on a second, please.
Yeah, no problem. That's like the really fun thing about technology. He was on YouTube. He's like, hey, how do I get into the Zoom session? And I like dropped the Zoom session, and now he's in here. It's kind of like the fun.
Perfect, Ian.
Yeah, it's kind of the fun thing about technology, you know. That's why I love hosting these things. You know, they're just kind of a fun way to go about it and do it. But okay, yeah, with those in now, and then we should be good.
I cannot believe this, man.
Yeah, how you doing? What's your question? You got me right at the end of the session, so I'm literally going to close with you.
Okay, well, Oh, hey, listen. I'm going to name drop for a second. Okay?
Sure.
Jim Livingston.
Yeah, legend. Love him.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm hearing you also somewhere else. Maybe I have YouTube on.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Close YouTube.
Hold on.
Yeah. That would explain the delay.
Are you there?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good. Yeah. He's like one of my top 5 best friends in the world. I mean, art and everything.
Yeah. Legend.
And,
legend.
I've been
amazing human being.
Really is living in Tucumcari now, you know, and I go see him in June every now and then. And so, yeah, he's doing good, still having a little bit of problems and stuff.
Yeah. The health issues.
Anyway, I'm really interested in this. I'm not ready to join, I'll tell you this yet.
Yeah.
I've been at this for about, well, I guess maybe 40 years. And I just had a show in November in Enid, Oklahoma. And I've got a gallery representation over in Dallas.
Okay.
And I just had a show there like about 3 weeks ago, and
Okay.
I sold a few things, and very happy with it. But I do have some questions here. Yeah, my problem is I do 5 different styles of works
Mhm.
about.
Yeah.
Like you can see my nuns in the back right now. This is the show that I had in Dallas last week or 2 weeks ago. And then I also do like crazy style of little paintings like this, photography, and I think I'm pretty prolific with photography. I'm going to have a show in Oklahoma for and I'm planning on doing like a animal show there, that or else. But anyway, I do portraits, I do landscapes, and I do churches of New Mexico. I love New Mexico. I don't know if
Okay.
you've been there or not, but you know, I love Adobe and stuff.
Mhm.
Anyway, my question right now is the wall that I'm getting to is how do I get emails?
Yeah. So, do you listen to podcasts?
Yes, the
Good.
one yours?
Yeah, you need to. You need to. So the episode, and let me share the screen because I want to show you, and then anyone else can listen to it. Because I have the preeminent podcast episode dedicated just to this. Okay, and it's not just kind of good; it's like really good, and it's called "The Smart Artist Doesn't Run Ads; Instead, They Do This." And in it, I detail a tactic. Where the heck is it? Hold on, I'll get the number in just a sec. It is. No, it's back. Let me find it. I want to give you the exact number because I literally want you to listen to it as soon as this is over with. And it'll be like it'll be like a spaceship moment for you. So it's number 55 and number 56. Number 55 is the smart artists don't run ads. Instead, they do this, introducing what I call the loop. And then number 56, supercharging the loop. And I'll just tell you briefly so that there's a little bit of a spoiler alert here, but you essentially give away prints and or merchandise of your work in a contest fashion in rewards for putting in the email. Then when you announce the winner gets the thing. Everyone that didn't win gets a discount on your store for some portion of time. So you run a sale after the fact, rinse and repeat. It works everywhere it's tried. It works when you're having a show or a fair. It works when you're having one of those gallery things. It works when your art's in a doctor's office and you put a QR code underneath it. It works when you announce it to your entire following, and it's insanely effective. I mean, I've personally gotten 10,000 emails with one of them on one customer, literally in 48 hours. You know, we leverage it as a brand all the time, so it's extremely effective. It's there's no end to the amount of times you can do it, and I found some ways where you contact influencer accounts on Facebook or Instagram and you give them something to give away, right? So let's say there's a Churches of a New Mexico account, okay, and it's on Instagram. It has 1 million followers, and you're like, hey, I've got some great photos. I would love for you to give this print away for free for your audience just because I love your account. And he'll mention your account, and then you run the contest, and the next thing you know, you got 5,000 emails. It happens literally that quickly. So listen to those two for sure.
Number 55 and 56.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to tell you how many followers I have because on Facebook, because you'll say, well, I get likes all the time. Well, take them to the ATM machine.
Exactly.
No,
Right.
I know. I mean, I've got like about 1,000 there, you know, and I really do not get on Instagram that much either. And I know
you need to, yeah. It's the most important, you know, I mean, when you think about it, it's like why this is so easy to understand. Why is Instagram so important? What is it? It's a giant visual search engine, right? Like no different than Google is a search engine for the web. YouTube is a search engine for videos. Instagram is a search engine for visual images and art. I mean, that's what it is. It's incredibly, incredibly powerful. So that's what I would say. Yeah. But I'm glad you made it in, but you also got me at the very end of the session when I'm utterly, totally, and completely out of steam. So,
are you? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
no, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I've been going for a while, but you comment anytime you see any of the lives. I love doing that. You know, really, 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 anytime. I love helping and love answering questions in that capacity. But I'm gonna email you guys all the follow up, all the bells, all the whistles, all the thing I mentioned in the proposal. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your weeks. Israel, great meeting you. Say hi to Jim for me. And
I sure will, Patrick.
Yeah, I'll see you guys all in the lives. All right.